All right, good evening, universe. It is 11:30, Thursday the 21st, and we have Zenneth Nevers again visiting the secret lair deep within the multi-million-dollar mansion.
This is Zenneth Nevers Part 2.
Part 2.
It's named like a sequel.
Right. And you know Part 2 is so much better than Part 1.
No, that's the sad part. Is this is going to be just like any other sequel? It's worse.
Well, actually,
except for like Terminator 2.
I'm gonna tell you straight up. Okay, so let's just get the people in the universe to know where we're at on our timeline. Zenneth just finished performing his entire set before he heads out on tour, and because we record the thing, and then now he's gonna take it home. He's gonna dice it, chop it up, look and see what he likes, what he keeps. And what I loved about tonight was, your set was an hour, and I think you stayed there for like 5.5 hours, and you just kept talking, and you're like, I have one more joke, and then he goes into 3.5 hours of him being a pimp when he was younger. By the way, that shirt was dope. That little with the dominoes, that fucking shirt was dope. But that being said, Zenneth Nevers came and performed his entire set, and it was phenomenal. The crowd was awesome. I felt like, you know, I really like the interaction between the technology and but I don't want to say anything because I know you guys are like, this is like the ingredients for KFC's recipe. One half is on one side.
Can't tell you secret ingredients.
Right, we don't bring it together. We don't talk about it. It's just that which we don't speak of or whatever. So, but the point is, it was a phenomenal set. You're getting ready to hit the road. I'm super excited for you. I am very excited for what I saw. So congratulations. I'm not dick riding you. This is honest to God's truth. Then my man Zenneth took our first interview. I'm going to do a little backstory, get all this out of the way, and then we'll chat it up. So then this fucking guy goes and he makes a chopped up interview to put content on his site, and it was awesome. I love seeing it. Thank you, by the way, for doing the legwork since I'm still building everything. But what was so funny was because of a podcast format, it's more of a conversation than an interview. He had to take parts that were, and check it out. Go to his site, and he can tell you all about it. But he took and then he had to put a subtitle underneath because what the subtitle was actually what I was asking, but it seemed like it was the weirdest way to ask a question. So I learned a lot from watching that.
I don't know. I when I was watching it, see, you probably watched the podcast through a podcaster's eyes. I was watching it more along the lines of an audience that enjoys video.
Correct.
And so we were having casual conversation, and you know, you would have a question, but it would be buried with a bunch of other words and
bullshit, a bunch of bullshit.
Then I was afraid that audience members would be watching the video and be like, what was the question again?
What was the question again? Right.
So that's why I put the
it was awesome. I loved it.
Thank you.
I loved it. I you know, we all got scared when we heard the laugh track because we were like, whoa, what was that? I was like, were you really laughing that much? Track. But it was hilarious. Well, you know, we different demographics, you know, I get it. You know, because you deal with a lot of younger people and stuff, it's not like you're going to sit down and watch Zenneth Nevers for an hour and a half talk bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But on the other side of the coin, Zenneth Nevers, stand-up comic, murdered tonight.
It's a good set.
It was fantastic. And also, okay, so last time I asked what's next for Zenneth Nevers, so where are you going now? Are you fixing to hit the road? I mean, what are some of your close dates that you have coming up?
Well, let's talk about today's set.
Okay.
Because I think that was it was something I've been wanting to try for a long time.
Wonderful.
I've always wanted to do comedy that has, you know, not preachy, but an underlining kind of message.
Okay, so you did a set tonight that was different in the sense that you were combining your comedy with also a storyline for motivation.
Yeah, well...
So break it down. I don't want to put the wrong words in your mouth. So that they understand when we start talking about what you're doing, they have the backstory.
I wanted to... I've been working on it for quite some time. I wanted to try to kind of step away from hackiness, and I wanted to make a connection with the audience, and I felt like the best way to make the connection with the audience, and it still got some light years to go. I'm like, I stepped over like one, you know, the real huge punchline with where I'm wearing the white sheet. that joke. Oh man, I pushed the slide too early and it jumped the joke. But they still loved it.
Of course.
But I think that they loved it because I was trying to, instead of say, hey, what's up at Walmart? Instead of doing that, like it was a life story. You know, I grew up in poverty, blah, 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 blah. My mom really loved Walmart.
Oh,
I remember one time such and such.
It definitely.
So it was more funny stories.
I was very invested.
Thank you.
You know, the little kid pictures. And, you know, but I mean, the thing about it is it wasn't prop comedy. You weren't using the TV as a joke. It was helping you paint that picture.
Right.
And I mean, Zenneth has an amazing set. I mean, tell us about that and your set tonight. Tell us about
so I wanted to kind of not be a comedian who's telling jokes. I wanted to be another human being just like you. I wanted to paint a story of one, you know, obviously I overcame this and this and that in my background. Let me tell you why I was able to overcome. Tell you a little bit about my story, and I'll show you pictures. You know, I'm showing pictures of when I'm a child, and you know, goofy outfits that I had and stuff like that. So
goofy. It's like something I have in my closet right now. Shit.
So it's still self-deprecating humor in a sense, but it's more like really attempting to establish that real connection with the audience. It's I think another comedian said it best once. I really allowed myself to become very vulnerable to the audience.
No doubt.
This is who I am. I'm an idiot. Now there was a bunch of other stuff that, you know, was obviously way off the top and crazy, which is cool because I like that in comedy also. But for the most part, it painted the picture of, you know, single dad, 2 kids, starts a children's charity because this and this and this happened, and you know, he's Cuban and he's from Chicago, and his mom, you know, talked too much or whatever, like I'm doing right now. And
no, listen, you know what you're saying, like I didn't get a sense of anything other than I got to really connect with you as a human being, and it worked. And the kid, you know, seeing the pictures of you as a little kid, you know, like I have this thing where it's like, when you get to when I go visit my family down south and you see all the little ones, you know, and I mean, there's nothing more beautiful to me than a little Cuban baby boy or girl. They're just, especially with the jewelry, and then they got the little horn, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're just so elegant. And then the Agua Violeta, I mean, it's this unisex cologne that you put in.
But did they have a Domino pimp shirt?
That
no,
sure
they didn't.
was
What?
Sick. Well, that's that Chi-Town. That's that Chi-Town. See, we're South Florida, so we're rocking tank tops and shorts and flip-flops with a little toe thong. But you guys, Chi-Town, you definitely saw.
You gotta have Domino's, man, if you're Cuban.
Well, okay, so you'll have to buy the expensive ticket and go see his show, because just the shirt alone was sick. That was a good bit.
Yeah.
But you know, like I said, I really enjoyed, because before I was a stand-up comic, before I was interested in comedy, I was always interested in some sort of a pulpiteering. I talk about that I had this, 12-year stretch where I was Bible thumping, man, and I felt like it was a great place to be for what I needed then. Mm-hmm. But then as things changed and the world changed around me, and I didn't feel that hate for, I'm not bashing the church, but we were, I have a bit where I say there's a list of things I was taught to be afraid of. Black people, gay people, Indians, Muslims. They didn't have transgender back there. We put them all and lumped them in as gay. So now as I've gotten older, and I think the church too might have seen that maybe it wasn't the best approach, but I feel like now I'm reaching more people through comedy, through making people laugh, through just trying to be good peoples to other people. But I also found that I loved motivational speaking. I loved Eric Thomas. I loved all right, look, who says shoot for the stars or shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you end up in the stars?
Les Brown. Thank you.
I felt so horrible because I was going to make a Les Brown reference, and I couldn't remember Les Brown said it. With the interview with Miss Sky, I was like, I can't even start this speech because, and he was that. I love me some Les Brown.
It could be because he regularly visits Colorado.
Right. Well, I've got my prescription card. It's for my pain, my glaucoma.
Alleged. Glaucoma.
My alleged. No, I legitimately have a prescription card. I allegedly. Anyway.
What was I saying?
Yeah, exactly. I forgot. But the thing about it is, the reality is to be able to see it from my perspective as a fan. I was actually a fan of motivational speaking and motivational speakers longer than I was a student of comedy. So the idea that I got to see it both was very motivating on its own plate, but also, I will say, I felt like it was a good balance. You had mentioned in the last interview how you don't want to come off as too preachy when you want to be motivating in a comedy room, and you don't want to come off as campy when you want to be funny in a motivational speech. I felt like it was a great balance. I really did.
Thank you.
I really did.
It still needs some work, but I mean, I was really skeptical. I was really like, especially when at first, because Ocala, as they call Slow Cala.
We call it the Dirty South.
Like, there was literally nobody there 5 minutes before the show.
Isn't that
funny? And then showtime comes and everybody, boom.
Yeah,
like,
I make a joke that the comics will come from 2 hours away and be 20 minutes early, and I'm getting texts, can you hold on a minute? We'll be right there. I'm like, bitch, this is a show. I have some control, but damn. But yeah, no, in true South Marion County style, we rolled up 5 minutes late, but we came.
Yeah. So I was especially, I don't want to say nervous, but I was like, I was kind of...
Nothing like sucking the wind out of yourself.
Well, I was kind of second, like, guessing, maybe I should just do regular comedy, you know? But, audience showed up, and I was like, great. Because the other thing, too, is it's not just about... this is something that was really important to me. Right. Because, again, it's more like me. It's not like, and Walmart sucks. I mean, it had a touch of those things, but it was more like a regular story.
Right.
This is
we can all come up with our own Walmart sucks conclusion because we all have the story, but it's
everybody's done it.
But who doesn't go to Walmart just to get the bad service? Sometimes I need inspiration.
I actually will literally, especially when I'm with someone, I'm like, hey, you want a good laugh? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, okay. Hey, excuse me. Can you tell me where I can get a vase? Home Goods. I don't. Do you recognize me? No. That's because I don't work here. I don't know where Home Goods is at. What does that mean?
That's ridiculous.
Or the worst is like when they give you like three options. Oh, Home Goods or the Garden Center or maybe Target.
Exactly. That's crazy. That is silliness.
But those subjects, they're great because it's very easy to get a laugh because they're very hacky, but they've also been done to death.
Right, no doubt.
So I was looking more for like very, very genuine, organic laughter that just came from not making jokes, but me telling a story.
No doubt.
In a joke style.
Well, I tell you what, I mean, again, I will go for the lowest common denominator. I'm a dirty comic, and I don't need to be a dirty comic, but I've
already cursed like 5 times.
Right.
You know how much editing it took?
But the reality is you're balls to the wall funny, and you can choose to be clean or not. But your material overall can be as squeaky clean as you want it to be. So I mean, the opportunities, with just, there's so many different places that you can put a motivational speaker in, and then there's so many places you can put a comedian in. And with that, like I said, I was very impressed, and I could also see the amount of time. Not even just because of the fact that he was up there, I swear to God, 6.5 hours. But not only that, but I mean, honestly, what stays, what goes, how do you put the right thing where? And I'm telling you, man, I felt like everything was where it needed to be. If anything, maybe some more silly pictures of you with Domino shirts, because that shit was dope. That was so funny.
Well, my remote wasn't working, so the bending over on the laptop was a little bit hacky, and it, like I said, it ruined my Halloween joke, but or Halloween story. But
that's why we.
It was a big laugh.
Yeah.
Oh, it got
even screwed up.
Yeah.
Even screwed up, it did get a big laugh, but I think it would have gotten a roar.
No doubt.
But, it's a work in progress. I was really happy with the turnout, and I was really happy with the audience. I love Ocala.
Yeah, man.
I love Ocala. The little bar is they're so adorable. I mean, God, do they interrupt so much?
Oh, they're horrible.
Joe
the owner's the worst. The owner, Miss Amy, she cuts in all the time. I'm like, Amy, you're not supposed to interrupt it. This is your bar. You're not supposed to mess up the act in the middle of the show. It's your bar.
But again, just like most hecklers, they just want to be a part of the show.
Oh, no doubt.
You know, it's kind of cool. It has like an intimate type feeling, and today more than ever,
No doubt.
because I was kind of like exposing like the human side of. So they were more like, yeah, and what about this? Yeah, that's true. So anyway, so then I was, and then what about that? Yeah, okay, yeah, that's true. And then it got to the point, especially with my brain damage. I talked about this last time. I really do live with permanent brain damage.
Sure, I understand.
So sometimes I'll realize like, oh, you know what I just realized? I didn't tell a joke that I was trying to tell 30 minutes ago,
Right.
because I just went from this subject to this subject to that. Because like whatever they said. And that's kind of cool too. You do want to have the ability to kind of step on your toes. Mm-hmm. So whenever, let's say, for example, the audience member was like, "Hey, where are you from?" and he's very, very clearly like Asian. He's like, Canada. Okay.
That's so funny.
So,
That's
you know.
such a great answer. This dude is straight up from Canada. His first day visiting and Canadians know how to do it. How many weeks is he on vacation? 5 fucking weeks, man. So the first day in was Irma. No power. My house had power. I don't know this dude from Adam, and I don't really know his daughter that well, except through his, because he's family. So they ended up taking my renter's apartment, and she ended up staying at, where the hell was she? Anyways, it don't matter. She stayed with her parents. That's what it was. And then the whole deal was, they got a chance to I felt horrible for the guy. You first you come back in here and it's hilarious because he's straight up from Canada, but he's Asian as a motherfucker, man. He's woo.
But you see that all the time, right? You see that all the time. Hey, where you from? Oh, I'm from North Carolina. Before North Carolina. Oh, I'm from California. Before California. Oh, I live in New York 3 years. Come on, bro. You know what I'm trying to get at.
What are you? What are you?
I don't know. When somebody asks you, it's like if you're Latino, which would never happen with a Latino, but if you're a Latino and I detect an accent, hey, where are you from? Oh, New York. All right, I didn't detect a New York accent.
Right. No
So you know what I'm asking.
That's hilarious.
Give me what So anyway, so you lost. You didn't lose power.
Yeah, we lost power for a little bit, but by the time we were getting it on, he was getting here. He came in right after the storm hit. Oh. So it was just horrible timing. So we were able to put him up in the apartment in the back. So he was able to catch a little AC and, whatever. So needless to say, the place was spotless when we came back. So everything was cool, but no, it was good. And like I said, it just blows my mind. I'm like, that's the absolute worst timing in the world. You wait all year to get a 5-week vacation and you start out.
All 5 a week. And then on the last week, the comedian picks on you.
Hilarious.
No, we were pretty good in Winter Haven. We had minimal damage. We did, however, well, hold on. I know I need help with this. Hold on. We did, however, when I got home and I walked in, I realized that there was something that did happen. I realized as I went to go make a Facebook post that my Wi-Fi was down.
Don't say it. Oh no. That's so bad.
And I was like, oh my God, why?
What are you going to do?
Why?
How did you get on with it?
I was able to overcome it.
Yeah, you got it. You went through it. That's high-tech shit right there, boy. I tell you what. That's good shit. That's ghetto as fuck. I loved it, though. I loved it.
What a retard.
Man, I have speaker envy. My dad's speaker ain't worth a damn compared to that. Jesus.
Well, you gotta have iPhone, bro.
Yeah, screw iPhone.
I know you got Metro PCS.
You damn right I got Metro PCS. You know what else I got with Metro PCS? Unlimited Wi-Fi or unlimited internet, bitch. So I don't need Wi-Fi to get on Facebook.
I do too, but I gotta pay for it.
Yeah, exacto.
I mean, whatever.
All right, so let's talk about dates. Because you said, and I'm only throwing this out there because you said.
Yo, that was so funny.
You said
so many people when it came up to me and be like, "Hey, so," they were like, I swear it was like at least 4 people. At least 4 people. Hey, so when do you go on your tour? What?
18-month world tour. 18 months. Because he's going to go places in 18 months, okay? Hey, listen, it's all about salesmanship, all right?
Yeah, what's funny is the first time I didn't catch on. I was like, what? Yeah, Alex told me you're going on an 18-month tour. It's like 18 months. Yo, Alex is so Cuban. That is the only aspect where Alex is actually Cuban. You ask a Cuban, like, hey, so what'd you do in Cuba? Oh, I was an astronaut. Yo, you guys don't even have a space camp. What are you talking about? Oh, no. No, I'm serious.
That's hilarious.
How many Cubans do you know? They're like, oh, in my country, I had a farm, and I had cars, and I had this, and I had that. Bro, listen. If it was so amazing, you could just swim back. We're not trying to hear all that all day.
Well, have you seen?
But they're exaggerators, man. Cubans are exaggerators.
Have you seen the television show where they went in there and they like work on cars? Have you seen that shit?
No.
I only see it because I don't have any television. So occasionally I'll go to my dad's and be like, "Oh, my son, come here. Look at this. Watch this. Look how beautiful this car is. This is in Cuba." And the whole story is basically there's a network of people who have cars. So if you like have a date Friday night, you need to go up to Escobar's house because he has the transmission for the same car, and you have the motor. So like, if he needs to go on a date, and that's the whole fucking show, and they're using like the brace across the garage to pull the motor out because Cuban people are ingenuity. They got engineering down pat. They'll do some crazy shit with very little, but it's almost like, man, it's not ready yet for this show.
It's bubble gums and Band-Aids.
Let's go wait 2 years. Like let's let civilization get in there and really smack some hammers around and do some developing, and then bring the show. Because right now it really looks bad. Yeah. It really looks sad. Right. It's an interesting show, but it kind of gives you this glimpse of, damn, it's kind of.
So people were like, so when do you start your tour? What? Tour. Yeah. Alex told me you're touring for 18 months.
Right, 18 months.
Alex, bro, please ask Alex whenever you get a chance. Ask him what size my penis is, because I need him to tell people.
Yo, that shit is got a vein. Oh man, you don't even want to go near that shit. It'll bite you. You bad when you have a dick.
Anyways, yeah, man.
No, but let me throw this in there. Wait.
So not touring,
Louisiana.
Louisiana, yeah, that'll be in December.
Okay,
December
so
9th,
this is the thought. Depending on if the logistics work out right, I'm going to take the camera and we're going to go ball out.
Okay, yeah. Tell me your story again.
Well,
December is normally very
right.
Very
so
busy.
It would only work is if it works with your logistics. Otherwise, it's no harm, no foul. But the deal is I used to own a sign shop, and I'm a master sign maker, a master blah blah blah. But it's an antiquated system.
Hold on, no, you can't just fly over that.
Right? No, it's no real deal.
A master sign maker? Yeah. Is there a certificate?
Yes,
Did you go to school?
I have schooling and everything. I'm schooled. I'm schooled. I'm educated.
Hold on. Hold on. So do you have a degree?
I do.
In sign making?
Well, it's for the program that I use, which was we don't need to get into nerd talk because I can break it down with my thermal print 3-color process, all that bullshit. Running a 0.05 stroke so that you don't see the line. Oh, I can do it all.
Okay.
But the point,
that backfired.
Y'all thought I was
that? I was gonna make fun of him.
I got the fucking tattoo on my arm. When you're like, "Who's got a tattoo?" I'm like, "I do. It's my company logo when I was a sign maker."
You ought to see him tight.
Yeah.
Just.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm legit.
Is that part of sign making?
No, actually,
class?
I went to typing class. That just shows you my age. Where the lady walked through with a ruler and she would count while you were A, S, D, F, J, K, L, and she would sing gospel hymns. You hear that shuffling from
I
Miss
feel
Mobley.
like that woman was white.
No, hell no. That woman was part of the AME Christian Church of the Holy Divine.
Showing up dead.
But no, seriously, I'm going to be heading to Louisiana to buy this sign equipment because I bought my kratom line and I make my own labels, and I went to a sign shop and she gave me 100 labels for $100. And I'm like, holy mother, I know what this shit costs for real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's it. So when I cash out with my corporate job that I'm leaving in October 6th, holla, yes, and then I'm going to be driving to Louisiana. So exactly, do that.
It is awkward now.
Break it down, yeah,
I didn't even realize how awkward it was till I tried to do like that.
And what exactly? Okay,
I don't know.
I don't even know.
It's the Caucasian 101.
Right. This is okay. Anyway, so by the end of the show, we'll be dancing. Oh, even the voice is dancing.
We've got him going.
That's all we need. We're getting ready to bring a third microphone in because we're going to have him chime in too throughout the program.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool.
Well, actually, you're the inspiration of that conversation.
Yeah.
It's your fake ass laugh track. and what the universe doesn't see, but I'm going to be blatant about it because I sure as shit can't remember all this stuff. I actually got cue cards up now since our first interview with Mr.
So we're moving on up, moving on up.
Except right now it's handwritten with a black magic marker, but it's still, we're heading in the right direction.
East Coast apartment in the sky.
In the sky. What? Oh, I thought we were breaking it down. Gonna pass out on the offering plate.
You are wearing the Baptist clothes.
Yeah, right? Yeah. You know, they used to make fun of me. I go to my church because I was part of a church that was kind of similar to like the Duggars. Like fundamental is what we call ourselves. In other words, staunchy and no fun having people. But the ladies would wear dresses and the guys dressed like they dressed. So I'd roll in like this. Fancier than everybody else dressed, but the reality is the short sleeves, untucked. In the summertime, it's actually better than wearing a whole suit. So they used to be like, Allah is still king. They used to say that to me all the time I walk by because they're like, apparently if I don't look like them, I'm a Muslim. So that's what I ended up becoming. I'm like, I don't see Muslims rocking this shit, y'all.
Oh, man.
So, anyways, it's just me. It's just a top and a bottom like everything else. So, Louisiana, if it works, I'm going to take a camera.
Okay.
And we're going to go wild out. And if you really have enough time, I will pay we'll go to Gulfport, Mississippi.
Okay, but how long are we going to be out there?
Well, how long does it take for you to get there and back? 3 days? To do the show?
No, I do it in 1 day.
You are such a psycho.
No, I swear.
Okay, well, I would like to do it for... My thought was do it for 3 days because you're touring, because you're a big international tour.
I'm trying to... Yeah. Right, I need you to be my promoter, bro.
No doubt.
No.
Only one of us is laughing now.
No, bro. I'm actually trying to squeeze one in North Carolina the day before.
Okay.
And shoot over.
So you drive?
Yeah.
So how many days is that? See, I'm retired.
So I'll drive.
So, I mean, I'll be able to go.
So I'll drive 1 day to North Carolina and 1 day from North Carolina to Louisiana.
And then once you get to Louisiana, if you don't have another date booked up solid right away.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, because see, my thought is we could record all this and make it like a Thelma and Louise kind of thing. And the deal is...
Except minus the Grand Canyon, please?
Oh, yeah, no Grand Canyon
okay,
here.
cool.
So, but the whole reality... I was going to say whoever would go with me, I would pay for everything, but if you're going that way, I'll just roll with you and I'll pay my way. And then if you can squeeze it in, I would like to pay to do Gulfport. But here's the catch. Okay, the catch is... Well, first of all, Jackie Knight, I was thinking we would start in St. Augustine so I could go visit my daughter, just because I'll work that in. But then I'll say, Jackie, give us 40 minutes, me and 20, you 20, at her place. Then, shout out Jackie Knight, I want that kiss on the cheek. She has a picture of Paul Anka kissing her on the cheek when she was 14 years old. I want to replicate, I want to dress like Anka, and I want to kiss her on the cheek and take a picture. She's never met me. We've only Facebook
She's a sweetheart.
She seems like, you know, but I see her as the Southeast Mitzi Shore, and I want to drive out there and podcast her because that's a story. I mean, the pictures that she sent out, 20 of them, decades of her hanging out with celebrities. Her husband is an ex-wrestler, professional wrestler. Stories, bro. Stories. Yeah. So as a podcaster, I'm all for that. But I was thinking we would kick it off there, and then shoot to North Carolina, do your business, so obviously, but then catch any little shithole open mics and just record the shit.
Well, we wouldn't be able to do it that night because we
have to drive to Carolina and then drive to Louisiana.
But then from Louisiana, you want to go where?
Gulfport, Mississippi, which is right there.
So we can try to get something in Mississippi. Yeah?
Yeah, and I figured even on the way back, if you have time.
Yeah,
we could hit Tallahassee or
Well, I mean, if we do it intelligently, we can. In each place that we stop, there's another paid gig.
Right.
You know, so it'll finance the trip.
Absolutely. Or I would, you know,
or you strip or whatever. I mean, I know, whatever. It's cool.
We'll make it happen, Cam.
You know, just bring your knee pads.
Bring a bag of alleged weed.
Another thing I gotta edit out.
There's gonna be a lot of editing if you're gonna fuck with me, but it's gonna be for the bigger picture. It's all gonna be good. We're changing the universe, man.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful thing. So Louisiana, North Carolina, Louisiana. Where in North Carolina?
North Carolina, I believe it's gonna be Nags Head if I land the booking.
Okay.
But
Just let me go up
dude,
as your free ape, dude. I don't even need to make any money.
Bro, I don't care, bro. You can go anywhere I go.
Right.
And you want to tag along? Boom.
They tag along. They meet I so tag along.
Whatever.
I was thinking shoulder to shoulder, face of the universe together. This nigga like, yo, we don't tag along.
No, I mean,
I'm just
bro.
playing, dude. I'm just playing.
Anyhow.
No, but I think it would be cool. I would also like to document, you know, a day in the life of, and just fuck around with some of my new camera stuff and see what I can do with it, and working on my editing and social media and all that bull ass. And also the other idea I had, because I get the crazy stuff, you'll have to downshift me and back it off. But like, I'm all about like connecting with a comic in Louisiana and go stay with them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know what I mean? And like I said, I can contribute to. It's amazing how much you can get away with, but also so that we can party with comics from different areas, interview them, that kind of stuff.
Well, that's a good point too, because I don't, as you can see, it wasn't 6 hours. It was like 2 hours and a half. The point is I can go a while, but
That's like Lord of the Rings. I just want you to know. That's like
in my defense, though,
Aragon, the
audience
Legolas.
made that show way longer than it was.
They're savages. They're savage.
No, I mean,
I love it.
I love it as well.
I love it.
They made it longer because of their interaction and their involvement in the show, which is cool because it shows how emotionally invested they were in the show as well. So time isn't an issue, but I do like to network.
Yeah.
Anytime that I'm somewhere outside of my little circle, I will try to reach out. Like in Louisiana's case, I will reach out to somebody and ask them to send me a reel so that I could see their ability, and then they could do 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I don't really need the opener. I've gotten really accustomed to like tonight's
you have
show.
a 2.5 hour show, bro. You good? You don't need no fucking opener, no feature, no nothing.
No, I've
You
really
need a
grown.
restroom break in the middle.
Yeah, we should have had one.
What do you call that?
A little jingle in the back. Ding, 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 ding. Please go to restroom. Anyways, so I don't really need the opener in that sense, but I like to network with other comedians. It allows me to not only have someone kind of warm them up for me, ideally, but it also allows me to be like, okay, well, whenever you come into Florida, or whenever I come to Louisiana or whatever, you help me. So kind of like, you know.
Are you familiar with the Raging Cajun? John Morgan, I think his name is.
The lawyer?
Believe it or not, I think it's the same name. I might be totally misquoting. I know him as the Raging Cajun. He's been doing this for 30 years. He has one thing on YouTube. One. And he sells out everywhere he goes. He's also a millionaire because his wife won the lottery.
Okay.
Let's connect with his ass. I bet you his AC is good and cold up in that motherfucker. And he lives on the water. But no, I mean...
Does he live out in Louisiana?
Yeah, he's the Raging Cajun. That's his, and he is a monster. I mean, he's
the only thing is that a lot of times it's not the same as like a comedy club, which is kind of like, if you want to know what's next for me.
Sure.
What's next for me is to break into more comedy clubs.
Which is what, 400 seat?
Well, no.
Like
I mean, in the
Improv in
sense,
Orlando?
improv. Well, I mean, you know, I do occasional like an off night on the improv, or the improv is what you would consider an A room, right? I do a lot of B rooms, bonkers, and stuff like that. C rooms,
Chitlin circuit.
D rooms, like tonight. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, D is in D.
D yes. No, so a lot of my gigs, because I'm a clean comedian and I'm not in the circle of comedians, is with corporate functions, birthday parties. I believe Lafayette is a birthday party. I don't remember. But in any case, so those are just one-nighters, one time. They're usually, they don't have a huge budget. So like, hey, I'll give you $300 or whatever, and then I just take some of that and I give it to a comedian, and then ideally now that comedian can maybe put a good word for me at a comedy club that he or she's working at. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, I totally
That'll
get
be
it.
my way to, because comedy is weird like that. You kind of want, you could send your bills and your links and all that, and that's advisable that you do it.
Right.
But you're not going to get a lot out of it.
Right. No, that's the old way of doing it. Is it's mostly now just getting to know them from the inside, right? Like with Facebook and social media and.
Not just that, like becoming friends with another comedian who works at that club, and then he says, "Hey, you got to book this guy. He's good."
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And then the emails won't be ignored anymore or whatever.
Right.
You know?
Well, see, my next, as far as what we're going to be doing after first year, we're going to shoot to have it done by the first quarter. If, you know, God willing, everything falls into place. I'm going to get a big van and an enclosed trailer. And the idea would be that I'm going to have a 100-seat open, indoor or outdoor, with the chairs, everything where it needs to be, speakers, everything in the van and in the trailer. But when you go into the first 2 seats in the front and the passenger side of the van, you turn around and look. Instead of having that first bench seat, I'm going to get back to the old school two buckets, the van seats,
Yeah.
and I'm replicating this behind that first 2 seats, which would then be on the other side where all the crap stays on the other side of the wall. But from here forward, it's going to be a mobile podcasting unit. It's going to have the camera between the 2 seats,
Okay.
and I'm going to go and interview.
So he'll be driving and operating.
Well, absolutely, with the sound, the whole shebang. But no, the whole idea would be that so when I go to Jackie Knight, it would be a lot easier to get her and her husband to come sit with me out there in the van running the AC while I'm in her parking lot, than in hopes and prayer that maybe one day she'll be in the Villages and come podcast with me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So the idea would be, as far as, again, this is where the business side of it is acting on my end. If Zenneth had a fucking podcast, I would go into Louisiana as a podcaster and get the guy who does the booking as an interview, and then from the interview, build the rapport, and he'll put me on the stage. That's what I mean about if I had the van up and running this time. So next time when we go to Lafayette for your birthday party gig, well, I would have already had the connections lined up. Like the lady you met that was from the magazine. That chick in a million years would have never been able to we would have never connected if it wasn't for the fact that I had the podcast. That she came here to see this and to have an interview. And then now this lady wants to interview you. She wants to interview because her whole thing is art of any kind. And she says the one thing she's never been able to crack is comedy. She can get into music, she can get into fashion, but she can't seem to get into comedy. And I said, I don't know why the hell you walk into any comedy club, I can't imagine anyone's going to say anything other than whatever you want to hear. But the point is now I've got this connection, and she has, what is it, 150,000 a month?
150,000 subscriptions in a year.
A year. 150,000 a year, and that's for a magazine that's 10 months old.
Wow.
So not to mention she's already been all over the world.
And he's brought her up 10 times.
Brilliant. Listen, I'm impressed.
I've been
by
counting.
brilliance. I'm impressed. Well, during that 6-hour set that he did, it's almost like there was really only
2.5 hours
person in the audience.
Well, okay, listen, what did you want me to do? Talk to the ladies that were already married or whatever?
No, you did the right
two
thing.
Latinos
You did
waiting
the
for me in the
thing.
parking lot?
I can only imagine she gets singled out everywhere she goes.
She's an attractive girl.
But more importantly than that, as we were talking, what impresses me the most, it gives me hope that 26 years old, and she's like a 40-year-old inside her head. Mm-hmm. You know, she's grinding.
Yeah.
You know, and she's making moves. And think about it, Ocala, that is not the place that I would think to find that style of artist, you know? So that, like, again, thank God we were able to connect, but that's the whole thing about, I keep picking on Zenneth Universe, because I think even if it was a 15-minute podcast, even if it was an audio podcast, I mean, you already got the subscriptions, that it would just be easy content, in my opinion, but also it would give you a chance to come at them from a different perspective. Not as, how many comics do you think a decent comedy club gets a week trying to get booked? Whereas if you came in, and I'm not telling you business, I'm saying this is what I'm telling you I'm going to do. As soon as we get to Louisiana with my fucking camera, point the fucking club out. Because I don't even care if I do comedy there. I just want to talk to the guy and tell me about, you know, some stories. And then by the time I'm done with him, dog, you'll be up there talking shit for 6 hours. So, you know.
6 hours. It's Dave Chappelle show.
It was, I swear to God, I watched the Fellowship of the Rings and Two Towers, and we were getting ready to start Return of the King.
And he got divorced and remarried and put a couple kids through college, right?
Long set. But no, seriously, I absolutely enjoyed it. We still have a good time. The state of the art, the sound guy walked quietly over and pointed at the clock just to let me know this is when we wrap up, but we still have plenty of time, so that's a good thing.
Cool.
So that's a good thing. So I wanna know.
Let's see. That's why he needs a microphone.
Right. That's exactly.
Simplicity.
Right. It's so funny.
It sounded like Sean Connery.
Because I always say that if you have an old French Canadian, you're good. It's the driest humor. Most of the time he's yelling at you, but look, it works out fine in the end. What's the matter, Bobby? You tired?
You're boring me.
I'm boring you? Hells yeah. Yeah, that's really good television when you yawn like a fucking lion in front of the universe.
Bro, get out of here, bro. I worked. I worked till late. I don't know what time. Today we went to Moorhaven, Florida, to help Hurricane Irma victims. And,
yeah, this guy was late to the interview because he has to go help people. I'm like, dude,
what a jerk.
Got to start getting your priorities in order. Jesus.
What's worse is we actually we had a lot of supplies left over. And man, I mean, sometimes when you separate stuff for that purpose, you're like, oh man, I do not want to take this back home and unload it back again in my warehouse. So we found a nursing home that needed, toiletries and water.
Where in the F is Moorhead, Florida?
Basically, like think of Lake Okeechobee, area,
you
South
were down
Florida.
there. You were down there.
So we were doing that, and then I had to come back here, and I still had to make a little touches. The stupid remote wasn't working, so I was like, okay, what I could do is I could put it here, I could put it there, and then I wanted an intro to introduce me, and hit little bullet points that I thought.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you. I wanted to kind of somehow subtly tell people, hey, this guy might be kind of motivational or inspirational. Mm-hmm. And so I worked that out and tweaked that out. And then, of course, I was like, oh my God, I gotta go see Alex. So,
that's right, motherfucker. So when you have, I'm just going to throw this out here, and I'm sure you'll see it, and this is not a criticism, but when your intro music ended, it seemed like there was a long pause before it came back on. Just want to throw that out there.
No. I think what you're referring to, and I agree. If we're referring to the same thing, is after the last, because I have a couple comedy sketch videos.
Right.
And then after that, it was like way too long.
Right.
And what it was is I decided like at the last minute, a little bit before I left, I was like, dude, I should throw some comedy sketch videos here.
Yeah, it was good.
But then I never shortened the space of silence. Mm-hmm. Ideally, I would initially I was just going to hit it during the space of silence, and nobody would know anything was going on, and then 30 seconds later, the music would start. But then I threw the videos in the front and forgot about the 30 second space. That was way too long. Well, people were like, it was really funny because it was kind of awkward. Like we were like, I got to a point where I just started talking.
Right, you started
in the
talking
back of the room.
Right. I liked that part. In fact, that's the other thing is if you're not going to shorten it, do something back there that the people are like,
what is going on?
Why is he talking back there?
Why isn't somebody doing something?
It's awesome, man. I loved it. And the other thing, okay, so Universe, just so we understand, I have a comedy workout room. We're getting ready to break it out and have more after the first of the year, which this is already the first of the year because we're slow rolling this thing out. Fuck it, you'll get the point. Get on my website, you'll figure it out. But the point is, this cocky sumbitch calls me and says, hey man, I want to come back, do your room. However, I want to be the only act, which I didn't know he had a 6.5 hour set. So I'm glad it worked out. Then on top of that, he's like, nah, bitch, you don't even go up and say hello. I got the intro. It's all on, the state of the art. I'm like, all right, cool. But you know what? I freaking really like that.
Thank you.
I don't know about me not at least saying hello to my crowd. That I'm going to work on with the next comic. But there are comics that I would rather they had their own set and not have even an opener and a closer, nobody behind them. So in the future, we will be bringing out special sets. Eric Dowles is on my list, comedian Joe Neal, people that I don't really want to have my local openers do stuff,
Okay, well, I wasn't trying to be cocky.
Oh, cocky son bitch. I'm like this. I'm like, What?
Who does this guy think he is?
Cuban. You know he's Cuban.
I knew I should not have called him international playboy.
2 Cubans, and you might know who's going to be cocky.
So no, actually, it turned out to be. I really liked
Reason
having
why-
the one act. I really liked.
I just said, hey, dude, I know it's going to sound weird, but is there any way possible that I could not have anybody go ahead? And the reason was I wanted to try something complete. I've never seen it done.
Right, no
ever.
doubt.
So I wanted to try something that was very different, and I just feel like I couldn't have somebody before be like, yeah, because my dick, you know? Like, dude.
Oh yeah, because all my people are savages.
No, I'm not saying
no,
that.
they are. They've
I
been
just didn't
putting
wanna
dick
take-
all up in their act. That is just all the guys that perform.
I just didn't want to take the risk. I didn't want to have the risk of somebody like setting the tone of the show in the direction that I wasn't
No
going
doubt,
in that
no
direction.
doubt. You're right.
So that was that. And then as far as the intro, I had no problem with introducing me. I just thought it would be really weird if you're like, hey, you guys ready for a show? All right, I'm gonna leave.
Right.
And some other guy's gonna say the same
no,
thing.
and the thing about it is, no, once I saw it and once I saw everything go down, I understand what you meant, because literally it would have been like, hey, how y'all doing tonight? You ready for the show? Okay, here we go. And then the ladies and gentlemen, or however you show it. But I mean, it would have been a weird, so it was cool the way you did it. But like I said, though, again, I'm not one that's like, oh, we can't change the rules. I'm willing to listen, and I really think that I got a benefit from having, there are certain acts that I don't really want to muddy up the waters. It was really you when I first met you, it was because you came on because Bill Kilpatrick had recommended you after I'd already made the effort to put Genesis on as the headliner,
Right.
because the story is those urban promoters were supposed to be there and they wanted to see Genesis perform. So it was all set in and then all of a sudden, come to find out, no offense to Genesis, he's a great comic and he's got a great career, but it's almost like I had 2 Genesis. I had 2, you're at that level that you're not hacks, you're not open micers, you're actually legitimate comedians. And had I known that, I would have set it up differently. I would have put you all on 2 different nights.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well,
it worked out,
It worked out just fine.
It worked out great because the networking is continuing, and we are now here with round 2 of the interview.
It also gave you an opportunity to see, like, okay, Zenneth Never's a comedian. All right, he'll be okay. I don't need to worry about it, right? But then at the same time, it gave me the opportunity to be like, hey, since you trust me now, I want to do something that I've never done before.
But
I actually didn't even say anything until, I don't know if I told you this, but I didn't say anything at all until like he arrived and I'm already fully set up. Like, hey, just so you know, I'm doing something I've never done before. I've never done before. I didn't want him to be like, what? Dude, I have the magazine growing.
No. I don't even care about it, because here's
or whatever, I just
actually flip the script. This is a surprise. I encourage that. Oh, you might fuck up the whole night. Let's see what you got. Because I'm more interested, because this is a comedy workout room. This is where you guys are flexing new material, and I dig it. And on top of that, again, even if that was the rough draft and you're going to go home now and tweak it, it was the first time I've ever seen anything that's like the first time I've ever seen that kind of act, period. So I'm like, holy shit, this is not only groundbreaking, it's brand new. Yeah. And it was unveiled at my little tent. So I'm down with that.
Now just imagine that, but on a 10-foot by 10-foot projector screen, like let's say at the Orlando Improv. You know what I mean? The same
or
show.
TEDx.
Or TEDx, So
see, I have
it'll be
another
the same
idea.
show.
I want to do a Southeast local TEDx, or even our version of the TEDx, or do the proper steps, get the proper paperwork, and actually get a TEDx in the Southeast. It's totally possible. You just have to do it through the hoops to do it.
Yeah.
But the other thing about it is, it's just like we were talking about networking. Like, I've got a guy who's going to be coming on the show soon, who he is doing something. It is a fundraiser program that he brings to schools, and it's blowing up. On top of that, the Village's charter school, which if you're not from around here, you might not know, but like I try to explain to people that the Village charter school is like Hogwarts. I mean, it really is. It's like Hogwarts meets Glee, which back in my day was Fame. Like the personal
Does a know will come and tell you that
listen, you're walking down the hall and one kid will start singing, and then the whole hall room singing, and they're dancing in unison because they all are part of the theatrical part of the school. The fucking place has recessed ceilings, crown molding. The kitchen, I would go and do motivational stuff for the culinary because I worked with the retail grocer that I worked at. So I was basically doing almost like jockeying to get people to consider Publix when they graduated. And I mean, I'm walking around. This kitchen is nicer than my kitchen in the store, and we have a state-of-the-art kitchen. So I mean, this place is ridiculous, and that would be like the prime. They would be the prime because they're very like open-minded. We'll just call it that, open-minded, because it's a school of the arts. So, but the point is not that he's, open-minded. I'm just saying he has an open-minded set. Like, it wouldn't nearly go over as well at my old Fundamental Baptist church that I used to work at.
But I work at those places.
Of course you do. But the point is that school would be a tremendous resume on your resume because it is a state-of-the-art school. And number two, it is it's basically a private school you don't have to pay for. You just have to work on village property to work there. So all the lawyers and the doctors, all their kids go there. So it's got a tremendous support. So like if the boosters or if somebody in the right place saw it would just be a lot of opportunities. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, again, just from you coming, grinding, folks, I didn't pay his ass for anything. I ain't got no money. So he drove all the way out here. He was down helping people that got devastated by the storm down in south of Morriston, never heard of it, Florida. And then he comes
so much work for me.
hauling ass back up here.
Beep, 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 beep.
And I'm telling him, I'm like, man, and I thank you for dressing up. And he came and he slaughtered, so it was a great deal.
Get out of here. Yo, I actually thought about dressing up, and then I was like, no, the place has a tarp.
It's a tent, but it's a classy tent. It's a classy tent.
Okay, yeah, because you know how tarp tents are sometimes classy. Anyways, I just like no. Here's the thing, like I'm usually the best dressed person in the room, but there are events, and I think that your room is a good example where I don't want to alienate the crowd because I'm dressier than them. Besides, who doesn't love Mr. Rogers?
Word to your neighbor.
Please won't you be my neighbor?
It's funny. You want to hear a funny story about Mr. Rogers? So I have a dear sweet lady that used to go to my church, and she's one of those female equivalent to a Mason. So it's like Gardens of the East or Daughters of the East or some shit, right? So every year I go there and walk her around the satanic pentagram, and I do it every year because that's the little chapter. Because I want to know, I want to see it, I want to be around the Illuminati. I ain't bullshitting you, dog. So it's funny though, is because Bellevue chapter is this little tiny where like the blessed, their little colors are fading and it smells of mildew inside the building. It's just an old raggedy building. So I walk around the little ghetto-ass satanic pentagram, and because I want to see the subcolor. I want to be a part of it. I'm not interested in it, but I would love to be a fly on the wall.
But you're losing me. Masons have nothing to do with satanic rituals.
Okay, no, they don't. However,
not necessarily.
However, I am not here to bring any negative press on the Masons. I'm just saying, as a spectator, you have a giant fucking upside down pentagram on your floor in a circle, and everything is tradition, and it's all about these like gigantic things they memorize, and it's whatever. But the funny part of the story is, all of the Most High and the debates in front, and I'm like, wow, y'all memorize, and they're old as fuck too.
Is so full of shit.
No, check it out. When they walk in an exact formation, and they turn in an exact formation, and there's a lady who plays the piano. Now, here's the funny part.
That sounds Catholic.
The song is this. It sounds like the song that you go to see the band of Make Believe and the Little Puppet King. So hear this deep, like this meaningful rituals going on, and all of a sudden, and then I'm like, what the hell? And every year,
does Mr. Feely come out?
Exactly.
Mr. Rogers' neighbor was called Mr. Feely.
Listen,
what a pedophile!
I bring women. I always have a date. wait till you hear the music. The soundtrack is to die for. Because I swear to God, it's like, oh,
Wait,
no.
wait, hold on. You're taking dates to the Masons?
Damn right. I want a fucking witness. I want somebody to Facebook this out in case I don't turn up.
All right, you realize that as far as dates goes, there's Denny's, McDonald's, and then a visit to the Masons.
Dude, you know what? You want to talk about
Girl, we just gonna walk.
Hey, you want to talk about?
It's like, I don't want cardio. I just want you to buy me dinner.
Listen.
No, we going to walk.
We dress up nice and we go over there, and then I have to walk the lady. And so, like, I'm looking all official and shit. But the problem is, I'm like, and then it smells of mildew. I mean, and the shit's all faded. But you know what? Hey,
You gotta videotape it.
I'm scared I might not show up the next day if I bring.
Maybe I should come out sometime.
Yeah, you can be my date.
All right, you're buying.
But no, in all seriousness, there's a funny story about Mr. Rogers with the piano, and it makes me laugh every year.
Please
I go
would
there.
you be my neighbor?
It's just hilarious.
And he would walk in and change sweaters for no reason.
Change shoes.
What are you doing, man? Why are you taking off one sweater, putting on another sweater? He'd take off one pair of shoes and put on another pair of shoes. What are you doing?
That's so fucking
Because
funny.
one was outside shoes.
Yeah, they were inside shoes.
Whatever.
Yeah, but they looked like they didn't really look like house slippers. But then
No, they
again, he's
didn't at
white,
all.
so like white people house slippers are different. Mine are match my cream colored
I
silk
think
boxers with the matching.
He probably had a really bad foot odor. He couldn't even stand it himself.
And then Mr. McFeel-me would come knock on the door with something, and they'd talk about a neighbor.
Yeah.
I heard he was a
Pervert.
wild man in real life.
A what?
Mr. Rogers, I heard he was a pretty G. He was pretty gangster.
He was like military,
Yeah,
big time military.
I'm sure.
Well, they all were back then.
Except for Pee Wee Herman. You remember?
Hey, he's got a new show just coming out. You know what? It was just,
You know
he
what
was
a
in
lot
the
of
wrong
people don't
decade.
realize
He was
this?
just in the wrong decade.
No. You know what a lot of people don't realize about this is, did you know that Lawrence Fishburne,
Yeah.
aka Morpheus,
Right,
was in Pee Wee on the Pee Wee Herman show? He was Cowboy Dan.
Yeah, and do you remember that show?
Yeah.
That show was edgy as fuck.
That show was funny.
That
man.
show was edgy because remember there was that one scene where it was this mermaid, and he's like, huh, what's missing? And her tits are missing. And we're looking at it, and then he goes, you're right, her earrings. And he drew like circles around her ears for her earrings. But I mean, that was pretty edgy for back then. I was just like, whoa.
Yeah, for a kid show.
I mean, there was a lot of innuendo in there, and then the fucker guy gets popped in a very weird way. But the thing about it is really, if we fast forward to today, it really wasn't that big a deal. In fact, I kind of think he was exactly where he needed to be to do that. The fact that he looked like Charles Manson when they took the picture with his hair all fucking tied back and he looked like some kind of monster didn't help you, Pee-wee. But, what you gonna do?
Certainly didn't set. I mean, it might have set him back as far as kid shows, but
Can you imagine? That must be a hard gig to be in and be doing well. There was that whole, what is it, the kid from Blue's Clues?
Blue's Clues, yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to, he was a musician.
Let's get our handy dandy notebook.
That was my generation of the kids. Dora the Explorer and all that fucking map. Jesus Christ, man.
I'm the map.
Well, you're all in it now, right? Okay, wait. Because we only got like...
Who wanted to burn the backpack?
Oh, it's ridiculous, that show. Okay, we have about 7-8 minutes left, but I wanted to touch base with this. So, check this out. Before the show starts, Jim and I are just taking a moment and enjoying the moment because Zenneth is here with food in his lap, trying to mow down because he was late. He didn't have the dinner, so after the show, he's eating the dinner. 6.5 hours of building an appetite. So he's eating, and while he's eating, he's trying to eat, and he's going over the report with the son, and it was a great moment because by the time my kids were leaving elementary school, I was not allowed. I had a note sent home: "Do not assist your kids anymore." Okay, so you're right there with it.
You're not allowed 100 yards from a school.
The new math. I mean, you see the difference in math now, right?
Yeah.
That's some bullshit right there. There was no transition in my world. We carried the one where I was from.
It's harder to relearn math, but it does make sense. that it's a simpler way of learning. So I mean,
Yeah, whatever, dude.
you can't.
Whatever. To relearn math. I barely do math when it's the wrong way. Now you want me to try?
One, you don't need to multiply, divide, and subtract.
And I'm not even going to
You
try
guys
to
sound
bite off
like
a
you guys
Cat
sound
Williams.
like flat earthers.
No, I'm definitely not a flat earther.
Earth
but
is flat.
I don't buy into chemtrails, and I'm perfectly okay with most of the conspiracies. I don't want to know. I know that whatever we do figure out, because I am not, like I said, I do the Alabama Song of the South. Most folks said the Wall Street fell, but we were so broke that we couldn't tell. That's always been my political stance. If it doesn't affect Summerfield, it's hard for me to worry about it. But I swear to God, man, these fucking days, man, everything seems to be affecting everybody. So I don't do politics. I don't get involved in it. All I know is by the time we all get everything right, Russia and China are going to come in and just take over and kick our asses. So luckily for us, we're on the other side of the world and we have big guns. So that's one thing we got going for us. Even though the regime, the guns are getting watered down, we still have the same guns, so we're all right. And the thing about it is, and remember this, because this is the real deal in history, the smartest guy was never in charge. It was always the strongest guy. So the smartest guy usually was the
So
conciliary.
Are you calling Trump the strongest guy?
I tell you what, let me tell you something about Trump.
Strongest personality.
Let me tell you a couple things about Trump that I did dig when he first came out with his policy changes and stuff. His initial policy was he wanted to bring a thing where if you made less than a certain amount of money, you didn't pay taxes. And it was literally a form that you put your name and it said, I won, and you sent it in. I like that kind of shit. Now that he's in office and he's fucking everything up, I think a lot of it, I wonder if some of it isn't all planned. If all of it isn't, there all those people that hate each other are sitting in a room and say, all right, look, we need to send the smoke signal this way. Let everyone get all on that bullshit, because Trump's a businessman. And I'm not even speculating. I'm just saying, what if all of this, because I can't imagine the smartest people in America and the smartest people in the world, and what's going on is just like, nobody wants to look at this elephant in the room. I think it's all part of it's just all like smoke screen. But sending it out that way.
That's what politics has always been.
Always been.
Always been. At the end of the day, I mean, you can argue Democrat, you can argue Republican, you can argue, whatever you want to argue. At the end of the day, the dollar is the boss.
No doubt.
That's it.
No doubt.
Bottom line, period. So, you take a simple subject like, let's say, immigration. There's approximately 10 million illegal immigrants on the planet, in America, approximately. Mm-hmm. And you say, oh, they're taking our jobs. Are they?
No.
Really? Are they?
No, yeah.
I mean, they're doing the jobs that most Americans don't want to do. Mm-hmm. They're doing it at a rate that allows the company to be profitable,
no doubt,
while still providing you with a product that is a reasonable price for you.
Right.
And then to say that they're stealing the jobs is extremely hypocritical. You have jobs like you have companies like Walmart, the largest American employer in the world, or the largest American employer in the United States, but also the largest international employer. Mm-hmm. It has products from, for example, Mattel, which like 80-something% of the toys from Mattel are made in China.
No doubt.
Why? Well, because you can pay a Chinese employee 11.7 cents an hour, and that's so cheap that it's cheap enough to where you can even ship the toy here and then finishing putting it together or whatever, or painting or whatever. It's still way cheaper. Why? So that then they can undercut mom and pop stores and they go out of business.
Right.
And then not only forget about the environmental damage. So who's really taking American jobs? These large corporations that are producing a lot of their call centers in India. I mean, they're not doing it because, hey, let's piss people off. They're doing it because it's cheaper.
I think a part of it, though,
it's part of globalization.
I just think.
But the point is like, it's real easy to say, hey, let's talk about this and work people up about this, so they don't pay attention to this that's very, very obvious in front of them.
Okay, so I'm going to detour for a moment. We did this on the last interview. I want to get in the habit of doing it. So at the end of the show, I want want you to give a message to the universe. Oh my God, here we go. I hope we got to change the tape. He's about to be another 6.5 hours. But no, every night, every time I do an interview, I want the person to just take a few moments and say something to the universe for the idea that since, Joe Rogan episode 1 is still there. So 10 years ago, I can still go there and watch his first episode. So 100 years from now, as long as things keep moving forward, your greats will be able to look back on this and be able to see. And it can be anything you want. So take a few moments, 6.5 hours, y'all be ready. And let Zenneth go ahead and close this out with the message to the universe. Then we'll say goodnight because we only have a few minutes left before the tape dies. No pressure.
Message to the universe. Be happy, guys. I mean, life's too short, and you only live once. There you go.
Didn't you die and come back to life?
Yeah, technically, I lived twice, so that totally reneges what I just said. So this is why I take this is why I take 6.5 hours. Okay, so let me try again. No, I'm fine. Yeah, just be happy, man. Life's too short.
That's good. Ladies and gentlemen, this is another episode of Articulate Barbarian. Thank you, Mr. Nevers, for coming out.
Thank you.
It's getting late into the wee hours, man. You're grinding, baby. Yeah. Grinding. Hey, listen, we're out. We're out here. Thank you. God bless. Love, peace, chicken grease. We're out.
Thank you.